I spent 11 years homeless or underhoused, abused and hungry, between 3 states and countless cities before entering foster care in Western Massachusetts at age 11. Through all of that, I understood the necessity and possibilities afforded by an education. With your help, I secured my BA from Vassar and a law degree from UCLA. And after a short time practicing law, I now run a large foundation that raises funds for Los Angelinos to attend college. We all come full circle.
The story of David Ambroz is particularly inspiring. He was a young man who had been in foster care for years. He ended up in Northampton, going to Northampton High School, and in a pretty dramatic situation.
I have a brother and a sister, Alex and Jessica. They're both 1 year older than the other, and then me, and a mother, Mary. We started out, as I recall my life, in Manhattan in the 80s. It was a place where you didn't want to go out after dark. It's a place where you put things in front of the door, even after you lock the door. If you had a door, we were not so blessed. We started out, when I recall my life, around 4 I started having serious memories, homeless, mostly in the streets of Manhattan. Shelters, Greyhound bus stations. We slept in the odd corners where you wouldn't see us. So we often spent some nights in these places. In church basements, in synagogues, in the Krishnas, you name it, we stayed there. We were more often than not hungry, more often than not cold. Even in the summer, you felt cold. You felt cold because people stepped around you, people ignored your very existence. So my mom is mentally ill, and it got progressively worse throughout the 80s. My mother took her 3 children by taxi to Boston. We literally took a cab from Midtown to Boston, and he dropped us off at Dunkin' Donuts, where we stayed for 2 or 3 days, I don't remember, at Dunkin' Donuts. We then went into a system for battered women. At some point, we actually were transferred to a shelter in Greenfield, Massachusetts. The shelter was a hodgepodge of people and their tragic stories. And that was the last shelter we would ever live at. That was the second to last place we'd ever live at with our mother. And I actually found my own set of foster parents. I had met them while volunteering for the YMCA during a summer camp. I was a counselor in training in Northampton's YMCA. I actually looked them up and walked from East Hampton to Northampton and walked into her office and said, "Surprise, it's a boy." And she just about fell off the chair because I hadn't seen her in a year. And a week later, I was living with them, and I lived with them for about 1.5 years. My mom had always emphasized education as our only avenue of escape from poverty. So I figured out, geez, I gotta get a college education. I applied to 18 undergraduate institutions. So I actually chose Vassar College, where I would go to school. I got my book list from all the classes I was gonna take. I got into the book line, and the woman behind the register nonchalantly said $637. And that's exactly what I said. I was gobsmacked, I was speechless. And I joked and I said, "Do you take food stamps?" And she didn't smile. So I got out of the book line because I didn't have that money. And for half that semester, I begged, I borrowed, and I used my friends' books, but that is not sustainable in that environment. So I started doing some research. I went back and visited Northampton High School. Fred, who was my guidance counselor, I remember walking through his office and he had this billboard of resources. So I pulled out this bundle, and one of them was this, it just looked like a little pamphlet, and it had it was white and it had the green leaf or whatever it was, the logo of the Communityfoundation of Western Massachusetts. And I started looking through their scholarships. There are all these named funds and these anonymous funds, and I highlighted all the ones I thought I'd be great for, and which was all of them. And they accepted my application, and I had funds that first semester, which actually purchased my textbooks. Those funds helped me do everything while I was at Vassar. They helped me participate as a student. I did work a few jobs while at Vassar, but if I had not had that support, I could not have achieved what I achieved at that school. Graduating with honors in my major. I worked at the White House as an intern And then even when I was done with undergraduate, I had that pamphlet, and I looked and I said, okay, what am I eligible for? Because these people had become not just a community in name, but a community in spirit, and had supported me throughout my education. I went to UCLA School of Law. I took obviously I got my Juris Doctorate, my law degree. All of that became possible because in September of 1998, I reached out from a pamphlet I got at my guidance office and found a lifeline. We have a government of limited capabilities by our own choosing. They can't solve every problem, and it relies on individual private people, philanthropic organizations like the Communityfoundation of Western Mass to step in and fill gaps. And it is in the gaps where so many of us exist. So what am I doing now? Where did all this lead me to, all this expensive education? Well, it wasn't for naught. I think I was a good investment, Communityfoundation. I am an attorney, but after graduating law school and spending some time as a practicing attorney, I started to get involved with a local community college. It's the Los Angeles City College. So the college president asked me a question. Do you want to run the foundation? So what I've done over the last 2 years is I've taken this incredible organization with so much potential and grown it. We've gone from almost no endowment to over $5 million. I was recently appointed by the governor of California and the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court to the statewide Child Welfare Council. This council is the first of its kind in the country. 1998 to today, 10 years later, I am talking to you because some donor that I never met took it upon themselves for whatever their motivations and created a fund. That fund, that legacy, is sitting in front of you.
We all come full circle.
We all come full circle.
We've all come full circle, and I think that's very true in life.